Imagine a world with no electricity, no engines, no modern medicine, no airplanes cutting through the sky. This is Europe in the 15th century, a world ruled by superstition, religion, and tradition. A world where most people are born and die without ever questioning how anything truly works. And in this world, in the year 1452, in a small village called Vinci, something extraordinary happens. A child is born, not to royalty, not to scholars, not even to a legitimate family. His name is Leonardo. No last name, just Leonardo, meaning from Vinci. Leonardo is born illegitimate. His father is a notary, educated, respected. His mother is a peasant woman, poor, uneducated, invisible to society. In Renaissance Italy, this status matters. Illegitimate children are excluded from universities, and yet, this limitation becomes the very thing that frees him. While other boys memorize Latin texts they barely understand, Leonardo is outside, watching ants organize themselves, studying how water curves around stones, listening to the sound of wind moving through trees. He doesn't learn by authority, he learns by observation. This will define his entire life. From a very young age, Leonardo begins to draw, but not decorative drawings. He draws how things work. Muscles under skin, the way branches split, the structure of wings. Unlike most artists of his time, Leonardo is not satisfied with beauty alone. He wants truth. What is a body made of? Why does water spiral? How does balance actually work? These questions are dangerous in a time when the church discourages curiosity. But Leonardo rebels silently with a notebook. He writes backwards, right to left, mirror writing. Some think it's secrecy. Some think it's dyslexia, but the truth is simpler. Leonardo thinks faster than the world around him. Writing normally would slow him down. At around age 14, Leonardo is sent to Florence, the beating heart of the Renaissance. This city breathes art, mathematics, architecture, and ambition. Here, Leonardo enters the workshop of Andrea del Verrocchio, one of the greatest artists and engineers of the time. This is not just an art studio. It is a laboratory. Leonardo learns painting, sculpture, mechanics, geometry, metalwork, and optics. Legend says that when Leonardo painted an angel in one of Verrocchio's works, it was so perfect that Verrocchio never painted again. True or not, one thing is clear. Leonardo is different. He does not rush to finish works. He obsesses. He studies how smiles form, how emotion lives in muscles, how the human face changes with thought. This obsession will later give birth to the most famous smile in history. But for now, something else is happening. At night, secretly, Leonardo begins dissecting human corpses. This is illegal, dangerous, forbidden. But Leonardo is chasing knowledge. He studies muscles, tendons, bones, and organs with a precision that medicine will not reach for centuries. What emerges is a terrifying realization. Leonardo is becoming a biologist, a physicist, a visionary. And yet, he finishes very little. He struggles with a mind that moves faster than time allows. He is not lazy. He is overwhelmed by ideas. By the end of his youth, Leonardo understands something profound. Nature is a machine, and machines are reflections of nature. If you understand one, you can recreate the other. This belief will soon lead him to design things the world is not ready for. But those discoveries come next. Because before Leonardo changes the world, he must first learn how to see it. And that is where the legend truly begins. Leonardo da Vinci is no longer just a curious young artist in Florence. He is now a man whose mind refuses to stay inside the boundaries of paint and canvas. Leonardo spends his nights surrounded by sketches. Not paintings, not portraits, machines, wheels connected to gears, levers amplifying force, springs storing energy. He begins to ask a dangerous question for his time. What if the human body is not the most complex machine in nature? What if nature itself can be reverse engineered? Leonardo becomes obsessed with motion, how force travels, how weight shifts, how rotation turns into forward movement. In simple terms, Leonardo understands something revolutionary. If you control energy transfer, you control the machine. He designs gear ratios without modern math. By intuition, by observation, a small gear turns fast. A large gear turns slow, but with more power. This is basic mechanical advantage, Centuries before formal engineering textbooks, Leonardo doesn't just draw machines. He dissects their logic. One of his earliest fascinations is flight. Not mythological flight, not angels, birds. Leonardo watches birds for hours, days, weeks. He studies how wings twist during lift, how air pressure changes above and below the wing. Without knowing modern aerodynamics, Leonardo reaches a stunning conclusion. Flight is not about flapping harder. It is about controlling air. He designs flying machines based on human-powered wings. The famous ornithopter, 2 massive wings, a pilot lying flat, pedals connected to pulleys and cranks. Technically, this machine would never truly fly. Why? Because Leonardo overestimated human muscle power. But the brilliance is not in success. It's a method. Leonardo applies observation, hypothesis, design, and testing. This is the scientific method, centuries before it has a name. Then comes something even more shocking. Leonardo designs a helicopter-like machine, a vertical screw-shaped wing. The logic is simple and genius. If a screw can pull itself into wood, why can't air be treated the same way? Spin fast enough, push air downward, lift upward. Modern helicopters use the same principle. Leonardo was just missing one thing, an engine. But flight is only one obsession. Leonardo also designs war machines, not because he loves war, but because war funds invention. Not because he loves war, but because war funds invention. He creates an armored vehicle, a circular tank-like structure, slanted armor plates, cannons placed around the perimeter. The angled armor is not decoration, it's physics. Angled surfaces deflect projectiles better than flat ones. Leonardo understands impact before modern ballistics exist. Inside the vehicle, human-powered cranks turn the wheels. Again, impractical. Again, conceptually revolutionary. He also designs rapid-fire crossbows, giant catapults, and defensive fortifications. But even here, Leonardo is thinking ahead. How to reduce friction, how to distribute weight, how to maximize efficiency. Yet the most overlooked of his machines are not weapons. They are systems, water systems. Leonardo studies water like a living organism. He sketches vortices, turbulence, flow patterns. He designs canals with controlled flow rates, flood prevention systems, water lifting devices. In basic terms, Leonardo understands fluid dynamics before fluid dynamics exists. By the end of this period, something becomes clear. Leonardo da Vinci is not inventing randomly. He is building a unified understanding of reality. Everything is connected: motion, force, anatomy, nature, machines. And this understanding is about to reach its most dangerous territory: the human body. Because once Leonardo applies engineering logic to flesh and bone, nothing will ever be the same again. And that is the next step of our journey: atmospheric silence and cinematic transition. Imagine the weight of these discoveries in a time of darkness. Leonardo was truly a man ahead of his time. The legacy of the machine is just beginning. In our next part, we dive into the forbidden science of the human form. The hills of Vinci still hold the secrets of his early vision, a vision that would eventually bridge the gap between art and the infinite. Stay tuned for part 3, where we uncover the anatomy of genius. Until then, keep seeing the world through the eyes of Leonardo. In a part 2, thank you for exploring the inventions of the master. Discover the truth in the next chapter. Music fades as the journey concludes. Part 3 coming soon. Final transition to end. Leonardo da Vinci now turns his attention inward, not into emotion, not into philosophy, but into the human body itself. In Leonardo's time, the human body is sacred, untouchable, mysterious. The church teaches that the body is divine, not to be opened, not to be questioned. But Leonardo sees the body differently. He sees it as a structure, a machine made of flesh. At night, in secret, Leonardo dissects human corpses, not with fear, not with disgust, with reverence. He wants to understand how movement truly works. He begins with muscles. Leonardo realizes something revolutionary. Muscles do not simply move bones. They pull. Every movement is tension. Every motion is controlled force. Every movement is tension. Every motion is controlled force. This leads him to map the human body in layers. Skin removed, muscles exposed, tendons revealed, bones isolated. No one in history has ever done this so precisely. Leonardo studies the spine. He discovers that it is not a straight pillar. It is an S-shaped structure. This curve absorbs shock, distributes weight, maintains balance. Modern biomechanics will confirm this centuries later. He studies the heart, not symbolically, mechanically. Leonardo observes heart valves opening and closing. He sketches blood flow patterns. He understands that the heart is not a mystical center. It is a pump, without microscopes, without medical instruments, just observation. Leonardo even experiments with pouring wax into animal hearts to understand chamber shapes. This is experimental science, before science officially exists. Then comes the brain. Leonardo attempts something unthinkable. He tries to map thought. He believes the brain is divided into functional zones: vision, memory, reason. While his conclusions are imperfect, his method is radical. He treats the mind as something that can be studied. But Leonardo does not stop at anatomy. He connects anatomy to mechanics. He studies how joints rotate like hinges, how shoulders act like ball joints, how hands are precision tools. This is not art. This is engineering. Leonardo understands that to build machines that move like humans, you must first understand humans as machines. This insight will later influence robotics, prosthetics, and biomechanics. Yet Leonardo is frustrated. He knows more than anyone alive, but the world cannot receive it. He publishes nothing. He teaches no students. His knowledge remains trapped in notebooks. And while his mind races ahead, the world around him is slow. Patrons want paintings. Churches want frescoes. Rulers want weapons. Leonardo must compromise. So he does what he always does. He adapts. And in adapting, he creates one of the most famous images in human history. A painting that is not just art, but psychology, but optics, but anatomy. A painting that seems alive. And that painting is coming next. In our final part, we uncover the soul behind the science. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. The secrets of the body were not just sketches to Leonardo. They were the blueprint of existence, a bridge between the seen and the unseen. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. While others saw fear and death, he saw the ultimate lesson, a lesson that would change the way we see ourselves forever. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. The mind of a master never truly rests. It only searches for deeper truths, truths that would one day define the modern world. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Join us for the conclusion of this journey, the final step into the light. Part 4, the soul of the science. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Discover the truth behind the most famous smile in history. Coming in our final chapter. Stay curious. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Leonardo da Vinci. Part 3 complete. The end of the beginning. Final credits, visualization follow. Instrumental/pacing. Music fades as the journey concludes. Part 4 coming soon. Final transition to end. Leonardo da Vinci now stands at a crossroads. He has dissected the human body. He has studied machines, motion, water, and flight. And yet, the world still knows him mostly as an artist. Leonardo returns to painting, but not the way others do. For him, painting is no longer decoration. It is a laboratory. Leonardo becomes obsessed with one question. Why do faces look alive, while paintings look dead? He studies vision itself, how the eye focuses, how light scatters, how edges blur in peripheral sight. He realizes something revolutionary. The human eye does not see sharp lines. It sees transitions. So Leonardo invents a technique known today as sfumato. Sfumato means smoke-like. Instead of sharp borders, Leonardo blends tones so gently that no line can be seen. This mimics real human vision. This is optical science. Then comes the smile. Leonardo studies facial muscles again. He realizes that a real smile is not just lips. It involves the cheeks, the eyes, and the tension around the mouth. And most importantly, it changes depending on where you look. Leonardo paints a portrait, a woman sitting calmly. No jewelry, no dramatic pose, just presence. The smile is not fixed. It exists between perception and illusion. Your brain completes it. Leonardo has hacked human psychology. This is an experiment in perception. This is not just a painting. It is an experiment in perception. But Leonardo does not stop there. He paints the Last Supper, not as a religious symbol, but as a psychological moment. Instead of calm saints, Leonardo captures reaction, shock, fear, anger, confusion. The exact moment Jesus says, "One of you will betray me." Individual reactions highlighted one by one. Shock, fear, anger, confusion. Leonardo uses geometry. Perspective lines converge behind Christ's head. Your eye is pulled there automatically. This is visual manipulation, mathematics guiding emotion. But Leonardo makes a fatal mistake. He experiments again. Instead of traditional fresco technique, he paints on dry plaster. Why? He wants more time, more control, more detail. The result? The painting begins to decay within years. The result? The painting begins to decay within years. This is Leonardo in essence. Brilliant, but impatient with limitations. His genius constantly fights reality. By this time, Leonardo is famous, but also frustrating. He starts projects he doesn't finish. He redesigns endlessly. He questions everything. Patrons admire him and fear him. Leonardo's mind is now far ahead of his era, and that creates a problem, because genius without acceptance becomes isolation. So Leonardo does something unexpected. He leaves Florence, Milan, Italy. He begins to move, and with every move, he gets closer to the end of his life, and closer to the modern world. Because in part 5, Leonardo da Vinci becomes an outsider, a wandering genius, and history begins to catch up to him. In our next part, the wandering genius finds his final sanctuary. The conclusion of Leonardo da Vinci. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. The echoes of his brushes still linger in the halls of Florence. A legacy built on the science of seeing what others could not. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Every stroke was a calculation. Every shadow a hidden truth. Leonardo didn't just paint the world, he understood its very light. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. As he traveled, his notebooks grew. Thousands of pages that would one day bridge the gap between the Renaissance and the modern age. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. The road ahead was uncertain, but for Leonardo, the search for truth was the only path worth taking. Join us for the final chapter. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Part 5, The Wandering Genius. Coming next, discover where the legend finds peace. Stay curious. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Leonardo da Vinci. Part 4 complete. The world was finally watching. Final credits, visualization follow. Instrumental/pacing. Music fades as the journey concludes. Part 5, the final sanctuary coming soon. Transition to end. Leonardo da Vinci is no longer young. The fire in his mind burns just as fiercely, but the world around him has changed. Florence feels too small now. Milan is unstable. Patrons come and go. Leonardo begins to move from city to city, not as a celebrity, but as a specialist, an engineer for hire, a military designer, a problem solver. He writes letters describing himself not as a painter, but as a man who can build bridges, design weapons, and redirect rivers. Painting is mentioned last. Leonardo saw himself as an engineer of reality. In Milan, Leonardo works on urban planning. He studies cities like organisms. He notices how disease spreads and waste accumulates. He reaches a conclusion. Cities are unhealthy because they ignore flow. Leonardo designs multi-level cities. Upper levels for people, lower levels for waste and transport. This is modern urban engineering in the 1400s. But Leonardo's greatest frustration remains the same. Time. He starts massive projects, then abandons them, not from boredom, from overload. His mind constantly jumps forward. One of these abandoned projects is colossal, a giant bronze horse, meant to honor a ruler. Years of preparation, anatomical studies, structural calculations. Then war comes. The bronze is melted down for weapons. The horse is destroyed. Leonardo watches years of work disappear, and something inside him hardens. He becomes quieter, more introspective, more isolated. Leonardo spends more time alone with his notebooks. Thousands of pages. No order. No intention to publish. He sketches everything. Clouds, whirlpools, plant growth. Leonardo believes nature follows patterns. And if you understand those patterns, you understand everything. But while his mind expands, his body begins to slow. Leonardo is aging in a world catching up to him. Younger artists are now rising. They finish works faster. Leonardo feels outdated, not because he lacks skill, but because he refuses to simplify. Then comes an invitation from beyond Italy, from a king who sees Leonardo as a living treasure, the King of France. Leonardo accepts. This is not just a move. It is an exile, a final chapter. He leaves Italy, the center of the Renaissance, behind, carrying his notebooks, his paintings, his unfinished thoughts, including a small portrait, a woman with a quiet smile. As Leonardo crosses the mountains into France, the world begins to change. Gunpowder spreads. New sciences emerge. Leonardo is stepping into the future, but his own time is running out. In our final part, we reach the end of the road, the sanctuary of Claus Luz, the final sunset of Leonardo da Vinci. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. The crossing was a bridge between his past and the legacy he would leave behind. A legacy that would span continents and centuries. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Every notebook page was a testament to a life lived in observation. A life where every cloud and ripple was a question to be answered. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. The flow of the river matched the flow of his thoughts. Unstoppable, intricate, and always moving toward the great unknown. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. As he approached his final sanctuary, Leonardo looked back on a world he had redefined. A world that was finally learning how to see through his eyes. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Part 6, the final sunset. Coming next, join us for the conclusion of the life of Leonardo da Vinci. Stay curious. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Leonardo da Vinci. Part 5 complete. The final chapter is about to begin. Final credits, visualization follow. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. The legend continues. Discover where it all ends in our final part. Stay with us. Final credits follow. Instrumental/pacing. Music fades as the journey concludes. Part 6, the final sunset coming soon. Transition to end. Leonardo da Vinci is no longer young. The fire in his mind burns just as fiercely, but the world around him has changed. Florence feels too small now. Milan is unstable. Patrons come and go. Leonardo da Vinci arrives in France as an old man. Not defeated, not forgotten, but finally understood. France feels different, quieter, more spacious, less impatient. King Francis I does not treat Leonardo like a servant. He treats him like a philosopher, a living monument of human thought. Leonardo is given a home near the royal residence, a place called Claus Luz. Here, he is not expected to produce masterpieces. He is expected to exist. For the first time in his life, Leonardo has something rare. Time. No deadlines. No impatient patrons. No political pressure. Just notebooks. Just thought. Just notebooks. Just thought. Leonardo revisits his ideas. He refines them mentally. He explains them verbally to the king. Machines he never built. Systems never realized. Concepts far ahead of the century. Leonardo becomes a bridge between the medieval world and the modern one. His hands are weaker now, his right side partially paralyzed, but his mind remains sharp, sharper than ever. Leonardo reflects on his life. He sees a pattern. Everywhere he looked, he saw movement. Blood moves, water moves, air moves, thought moves. He realizes something profound. Nature is not static. Everything flows. Nature is not static. Everything flows. This idea will later echo in physics, in biology, in systems thinking. Leonardo, without knowing it, has planted seeds. Seeds that will only grow centuries later. He speaks less about art now, more about understanding. He tells the king, painting is not about color. It is about light. This is optics. Centuries before modern optics. This is optics. Centuries before modern optics. Leonardo studies shadows. He notices they are never truly black. They contain reflected light. This insight changes painting forever, and photography, and cinema. Leonardo studies shadows. He notices they are never truly black. They contain reflected light. This insight changes painting forever, and photography, and cinema. As days pass, Leonardo begins to organize his thoughts, but not for publication. For legacy, he senses that his life is nearing its end. He ensures his notebooks are preserved. He entrusts them to his students. He knows the world is not ready yet, but it will be. And then, the body slows further. Leonardo walks less, sleeps more, observes quietly. But even now, he keeps watching. He smiles, not with regret, but with calm acceptance, because Leonardo understands something few humans ever do. He smiles, not with regret, but with calm acceptance, because Leonardo understands something few humans ever do. You do not need to finish everything to change everything. You do not need to finish everything to change everything. The future will discover him, piece by piece, notebook by notebook, century by century. But Leonardo himself is ready, because in part 7, Leonardo da Vinci faces his final days and his final thoughts. Join us for the conclusion. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. The legacy he built in silence would one day speak to the entire world, a testament to the power of human curiosity. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Every line drawn was a step closer to the truth, a truth that transcended art and touched the very fabric of nature. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. As the light fades on his life, his vision only grows brighter. Leonardo da Vinci remains the ultimate master of seeing. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. He walked through the darkness of his time to light the way for the future, a future that we now live in. Join us for the final chapter. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Discover the final thoughts of the master. Part 7, the final sunset. Coming next. Stay curious. Final credits, visualization follow. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. Leonardo da Vinci. Part 6 complete. The legend is nearing its end. Stay with us. Final credits follow. Instrumental/pacing. Music fades as the journey concludes. Part 7. The final sunset coming soon. Transition to end. Leonardo da Vinci now lives quietly. The noise of the world has faded. The urgency is gone. What remains is reflection. Leonardo wakes slowly. His body is weak now. His movements measured. But his mind is still traveling. He thinks about beginnings. About that child in Vinci who watched birds instead of listening to teachers. He realizes something strange. Nothing he became was planned. It all began with curiosity. Leonardo never chased greatness. He chased understanding, and understanding led him everywhere. Art, engineering, anatomy, physics, psychology. He now sees clearly what he could not see when he was young. His greatest achievement was not any single invention. It was a way of thinking. Leonardo believed that knowledge had no borders. He regrets some things. Not finishing projects, not organizing his notes, not sharing more. But he does not regret curiosity. Never that. People will later say he wasted his potential. Leonardo would disagree. He explored it. He understands now that the world prefers answers. But progress comes from questions. Leonardo asked questions that could not yet be answered. That made him look strange, unfocused. But time will correct that misunderstanding. As his strength fades, visitors come. Scholars, courtiers, young thinkers. They listen. They don't always understand, but they feel it. A mind that never stopped moving. Leonardo speaks less now, but when he does, it matters. He says that nature never lies. That truth is visible if you observe long enough. He watches the sunset often, not as an ending, but as a transition. Leonardo has always believed that death is not a disappearance. It is a return. It is a return. The body to earth, the ideas to humanity. He begins to put his affairs in order. His notebooks, his drawings, his few possessions. He chooses who will inherit his thoughts. Because he knows one thing for certain. The future will come looking. Leonardo sleeps longer now. Dreams become vivid. Dreams become vivid. Machines fly. Cities breathe. Humans understand themselves. He smiles in his sleep. He does not fear the end. He smiles in his sleep. He does not fear the end. He fears only one thing. That humanity might stop asking why. That humanity might stop asking why. Because in part 8, Leonardo da Vinci takes his final breath. and the world begins to discover what it has lost. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. The walls of his final home held the weight of a world yet to be born. A silence that contained the future of human thought. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. Every sketch was a message across time. A message that said, observe, question, and never stop seeking the truth beneath the surface. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. The river of his life was nearing the sea. A vast and infinite sea of knowledge that he had only just begun to map. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. Here, in the heart of France, the legend would find its peace. A peace that would echo through the coming centuries. Join us for the final part. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. Discover the final sunset of the ultimate polymath. Part 8. The final breath. Coming next. Stay curious. Final credits, visualization follow. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. Leonardo da Vinci. Part 7 complete. The end is near. Stay with us for the final chapter. Final credits follow. Instrumental/pacing. Music fades as the journey concludes. Part 8. The final breath coming soon. Transition to end. The room is quiet. Not empty. Not cold. Just still. Leonardo da Vinci lies in bed. His breathing is slow now. Shallow. Measured. Each breath feels deliberate. As if his body knows something his mind already accepts. He is 67 years old. In a time when most men never reach this age. His life has been long. Not in years, but in ideas. Leonardo's thoughts drift. Not to fame, not to legacy, but to patterns. He remembers water. Always water. How it flows around obstacles. How it never stops. How it finds a way. He realizes something final. Life is exactly like that. His hands tremble slightly. They have drawn thousands of pages. Invented worlds. Explored reality. Now they rest. Now they rest. Someone is with him. Perhaps a student. Perhaps a friend. But in this moment, it does not matter. Leonardo is not alone. He is surrounded by everything he ever was. The room is filled with notebooks, drawings, and small mechanical models. He looks toward the window. Birds fly past, just like they did when he was a child. Invenci. A faint smile appears. Not the mysterious smile he painted. A real one. Simple. Peaceful. Leonardo understands something now with complete clarity. He was never meant to finish. He was meant to begin. He was meant to begin. On May 2nd, 1519, Leonardo da Vinci takes his final breath. No thunder, no announcement, just silence. Just silence. The world does not stop. People walk. Kings rule. Wars continue. But something extraordinary has ended. And something extraordinary has just begun. Something extraordinary has just begun. Leonardo is buried quietly. No monument worthy of his mind. No global recognition. Not yet. His notebooks are scattered. Sold. Hidden. Forgotten. For centuries. Sold. Hidden. Forgotten. For centuries. And this is where the real tragedy begins. Because Leonardo's greatest ideas are still invisible. The flying machines. The anatomical precision. The engineering logic. The world moves forward without knowing how close it already was. But time has a strange way of correcting itself. Centuries later, scholars open his notebooks. And they stop breathing. And they stop breathing. They realize something shocking. Leonardo was not behind his time. He was ahead of it. Hundreds of years ahead. Hundreds of years ahead. And suddenly, the question changes. Not who was Leonardo da Vinci, but how did humanity survive without him for so long? How did humanity survive without him for so long? Because in part 9, the world finally catches up, and Leonardo da Vinci becomes immortal. And Leonardo da Vinci becomes immortal. Join us for the final part of our journey, the legacy of the eternal mind. Stay curious. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. The discovery was only the beginning. Millions of words and thousands of drawings that would redefine what it meant to be human. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. He saw the future in the shadows of the past. A vision that would wait centuries to be understood by the world he helped invent. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. The flow of nature was his only master. A master that taught him everything he needed to know about life, death, and the infinite. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal. He was a man of his time, but his mind belonged to the universe. a polymath whose curiosity had no end. Join us for the final chapter. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal, Part 9, The Eternal Mind. Coming next, discover the true weight of the loss. Stay curious. Final credits, visualization follow. B-roll only, pacing for 5-minute goal, Leonardo da Vinci. Part 8 complete. The world would never be the same. Stay with us. Final credits follow. Instrumental/pacing. Music fades as the journey concludes. Part 9, The Eternal Mind coming soon. Transition to end. The modern world wakes up. Cities breathe. Machines hum. Screens glow. And almost no one realizes they are living inside Leonardo da Vinci's future. Airplanes lift into the sky. Leonardo dreamed of this. Medical scanners reveal the human body in layers. Leonardo mapped this. Medical scanners reveal the human body in layers. Leonardo mapped this. Robots replicate human motion. Leonardo studied this. Robots replicate human motion. Leonardo studied this. Modern cities manage water, waste, and flow. Leonardo designed this. Modern cities manage water, waste, and flow. Leonardo designed this. But Leonardo's greatest contribution was not a machine. It was a mindset. Leonardo believed something radical. That knowledge should never be separated. That art without science is decoration. That science without art is blind. He refused to choose one path. And because of that, he created all of them. Leonardo taught humanity how to think forward, not by copying the past, but by questioning it. He showed us that curiosity is more powerful than certainty. That observation beats assumption. That imagination is not fantasy, it is unfinished reality. He showed us that curiosity is more powerful than certainty. That imagination is not fantasy, it is unfinished reality. Leonardo failed often. His machines didn't fly. His projects remained unfinished. His ideas were misunderstood. But failure never stopped him, because failure, to Leonardo, was data. He once lived ahead of his time. Now he lives inside ours. And this is the final truth. Leonardo da Vinci did not invent the future. He prepared humanity to invent it. His life proves one thing beyond all doubt, that a single curious mind can change the direction of civilization. His life proves one thing beyond all doubt, that a single curious mind can change the direction of civilization. Leonardo asked questions the world was not ready to answer. And because of that, the world eventually became ready. Leonardo asked questions the world was not ready to answer. And because of that, the world eventually became ready. He was born without privilege. He died without full recognition. But he left behind something eternal. He was born without privilege. He died without full recognition. But he left behind something eternal. A way of seeing, a way of thinking, a way of becoming more than what we are. That the future belongs to those who never stop asking why. Leonardo da Vinci. The legend concludes. Stay curious. Final silence follows. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. The cities of the future are built on the foundations he laid in his notebooks. A world connected by flow and vision. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. Every gear that turns and every wing that lifts is a tribute to his obsession with motion. The master of the machine is everywhere. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. Nature remains the ultimate teacher, just as he believed. A classroom with no walls and a curriculum that never ends. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. His mind saw no borders between the earth and the sky. He prepared us to look further, think deeper, and dream without limits. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. The journey of discovery is now in our hands. What will you see? What will you question? The spirit of Leonardo lives on. B-roll only. Pacing for 5-minute goal. Leonardo da Vinci. The legend is immortal. Thank you for following this journey through time and genius. Stay curious. Final credits follow. Instrumental/pacing. Music fades as the journey concludes. Leonardo da Vinci, the complete legend. Thank you for watching. Final transition to end.